Austrian Airlines AG, sometimes shortened to Austrian, is the flag carrier of Austria and a subsidiary of the Lufthansa Group. The airline is headquartered in the grounds of Vienna International Airport in Schwechat, where it also maintains its hub. It flies to 6 domestic and more than 120 international year-round and seasonal destinations in 55 countries as of July 2016. And is a member of the Star Alliance. The airline was formed in 1957 by the merger of Air Austria and Austrian Airways, but traces its history back to 1923 at the founding of Austrian Airways. During the 2000s, the airline expanded through the acquisitions of Rheintal-Flug and Lauda Air, and adopted the shortened Austrian name in 2003. Throughout the decade, Austrian sustained several years of losses, and in 2008 its owner, the Austrian government, was advised to sell the airline to a foreign company. In 2009, the Lufthansa Group purchased the airline after receiving approval from the European Commission following an investigation into the tendering process. Following disputes with staff over cost-cutting, all Austrian Airlines flights transferred on 1 July 2012 to its subsidiary Austrian Airways, which operated under the Austrian brand. On 1 April 2015, all flights transferred back to Austrian, and Austrian Airways was merged into its parent. History. Early years. On 3 May 1923, Walter Bader-Badenau received approval by the Austrian government for establishing an airline. He participated in the newly formed Austrian Airlines with 1%, with the remaining shares went to the Austrian Railway Transportation Institution and the Junkers worker. The fleet initially consisted of Junkers F-13s. The first flight of the company took place in Vienna on 14 May 1923 by Munich with pilot Hans Bohr. The landing took place in Vienna Jedlies 8. There occurred a conversion to float and the connecting flight to Budapest. The company initially operated as part of the recent by Junkers Trans-European Union. Among the destinations included Munich, Budapest, Nuremberg, Graz, Klagenfurt and St. Wolfgang. Some targets in Austria were served with seaplanes. The dissolution of the Union in September 1926 led to the discontinuation of some compounds. From 1927 the company procured with government support new aircraft. The completed in the same year operating partnership agreement with Deutsche Lufthansa for all line connections that were planned and operated jointly by the two companies. In the period that followed, a route network starting to Berlin, Budapest and Milan ranged from Vienna created. In 1932 Lufthansa Junkers of the previously held 49% interest. After the end of the world economic crisis, the fleet with several Junkers due 52/3 of a meter was added. 1938, the company began planning of routes to Rome, Paris and London. This makes the use of Junkers due 90 was provided. After the annexation of Austria by Germany in March 1938, these plans were abandoned. The airline was now fully under the control of Lufthansa and went on 1 January 1939 in Nissan. In June 1939, the company was deleted from the commercial register. After the Second World War, Austria was again separated from Germany. As a result, Austria was left without a national airline. Austrian Airlines was formed as Österreichische Luftverkehrs AG through the merger of Air Austria and Austrian Airways and began operations on 30 September 1957, making its maiden flight on 31 March 1958 when a leased Vickers Viscount 779 took off from Vienna for a scheduled service to Zurich and London. 6 new Viscount 837s were delivered to the airline in early 1960. The operator's domestic services were launched on 1 May 1963. The airline's transatlantic services began on 1 April 1969 with a Vienna via Brussels to New York service in cooperation with Sabena Jet Era. At first, Austrian Airlines had competition from Adria Airways because of passengers from the Austrian provinces of Styria and Carinthia commuting to Yugoslavia to use airports in what is now Slovenia. Austrian ordered its first jet airliner, the Sud Aviation Caravelle, on 18 February 1963, and the type was operated until 1973. From 1971, Austrian started to standardize her fleet in a short time frame in favor of 9 Douglas DC-9-32 that would serve for many years on short and medium-haul flights. In 1975, the first of 5 DC-9-51 was introduced. In 1977, Austrian became the first customer for the DC-9-80 along with Swiss Air. The first MD-81 entered service in October 1980, allowing longer-range flights. In 1984, Austrian became the first customer for the MD-87 and played a significant role in the project. The first MD-87 entered service at the end of 1987, as well as MD-83 from 1990, while 6 MD-81 were upgraded to MD-82 standards. Developments from 1990 to 2008. The 1990s were under the sign of cooperation and alliances. Austrian was one of the first company to join the Qualifly Group founded by Swiss Air. It was also a time of quick expansion in long-haul flights, with flights to China and South Africa. In 2000, Austrian became a member of Star Alliance and acquired RuthAS. It acquired Rheintal-Flug on 15 February 2001. Its name was shortened to Austrian in September 2003, when it rebranded its 3 constituent carriers. On 1 October 2004, the flight operations departments of Austrian and RuthAS were merged into a single unit, leaving RuthAS as a brand name only for charter flights. It has 6,394 employees. The other subsidiary, Tyrolean Airways, specialized in regional flights, and was merged with Rheintal-Flug. In October 2006, Austrian was forced to adopt a stringent cost-saving policy, and 2007 saw the shedding of over 500 jobs. Many long-haul destinations were cancelled, such as Sydney via Kuala Lumpur, Melbourne via Singapore, Kathmandu or Shanghai. 3 remaining Fokker 70 were sent to Tyrolean Airways. It was also decided to abandon the long-haul Airbus planes, consisting of 4 Airbus A340 and 4 Airbus A330, in order to standardize the fleet in favor of Boeing 777 and Boeing 767. Austrian Airlines removed complimentary in-flight meals and alcoholic drinks on short-haul services, introducing what was called a self-select bistro service, except on flights from London and any flights above 100 minutes in duration. Head office moved from Oberla to Vienna Airport in 2007, whereas headquarters remained in Vienna itself. After a small profit of €3.3 million in 2007, financial guidance for 2008 had to be changed negatively several times, to a loss of €475 million expected as of end of November. Privatization and takeover by Lufthansa. In June 2008, the Merrill Lynch Investment Bank advised the Austrian government to sell AUA to a foreign company. Interest was shown by Lufthansa, Air France KLM, Royal Jordanian Air China, Turkish Airlines, Aeroflot, S7 Airlines and Singapore Airlines. Of those, Lufthansa, Air France KLM and S7 emerged. On 13 November 2008, state-holding OIAG announced that Lufthansa was selected. The German company was to enter Austrian's capital with a 41.6% share, for which it would pay €366,268.75. Our CEO Alfred Ochen and OIAG chairman Peter Michaelis were heavily criticized for revealing to Lufthansa that it had to take over the €500 million debt only when the deal had been made binding. Michaelis refused a new tendering procedure, but was made a scapegoat with his shareholder rights removed, and Ochen resigned on 29 January 2013. On 1 July 2009, the European Commission initiated an investigation on the acquisition for breach of free trade rules, suspecting that the tendering process was a fake one, everything being already decided in favor of Lufthansa. Finally, with approval from the European Commission, Lufthansa purchased Austrian Airlines in September 2009. Shares in Austrian Airlines AG were suspended on Vienna Stock Exchange on 4 February 2010. After a time of uncertainty following the demission of appointed CEO Thierry Antinori, the arrival of Jan Albrecht as the new CEO in 2011 signaled the beginning of a new era for the airline, with improving passenger numbers and a more strategic position within the Lufthansa framework. The completion of extension works at the Vienna International Airport will give the airline more room for expansion. As a result, in January 2012, a new strategy was implemented, with the addition of 11 new aircraft in the next 3 years, leading to a renewal of the fleet on the long term, with Airbus planes serving medium-haul routes and Boeing serving long-haul routes. In December 2011, a new cost-saving plan was revealed, as Air UA's figures were still in the red despite the shedding of 2,500 jobs. Lufthansa refused to provide financial support. In March 2012, Austrian called once more for recapitalization. Lufthansa approved a capital increase of €140 million, providing effective measure to be taken in order to address the structural deficiencies. The RuthAS subsidiary was officially merged into Austrian Airlines on 1 July 2012. On April 30, 2012, after failure of negotiations over cost-cutting measures, our operations were taken over by subsidiary Austrian Airways. Since this date, all Austrian flights are operated by Austrian. However, 110 pilots and 250 flight personnel chose not to go to Austrian and to instead leave the group. Austrian Airlines retired its final Boeing 737-737-800 variant in Lauda markings in April 2013 as part of its fleet consolidation exercise. The 11-strong Boeing 737 fleet was replaced by 7 Airbus A320s, with an expected annual saving of €17 million through the move to a single type. In October 2014, it was reported that Tyrolean's flight operations and staff would be reintegrated into Austrian Airlines by 31 March 2015 as a new labor agreement has been reached. Ahead of the merger, Austrian announced an overhauled concept called My Austrian on 26 March 2015. It includes a new corporate design, a revised aircraft livery, and a number of new routes. In June 2015, Austrian Airlines announced the purchase of 17 pre-owned Embraer 195s from within the Lufthansa Group. These Embraer aircraft, which were formerly owned by Lufthansa CityLine, will replace the aging Fokker 70s and 100s. By August 2016, 8 of 17 Embraer aircraft had already been been delivered while 9 of 23 Fokker left the fleet. In January 2016, it has been announced that Austrian Airlines will revise its new branding introduced in spring 2015 by dropping the phrase "my" ahead of Austrian. This new claim faced severe criticism before. Corporate affairs, ownership and subsidiaries. Austrian Airlines Group is wholly owned by Lufthansa. It owns shares in 24 companies, including Austrian Technik Bratislava, a maintenance company located at Bratislava Airport equipped for overhauls on Fokker and Embraer regional jets as well as the Airbus A320 family. Gullet Europa Touristik, AVS Versicherungen, TUI Austria, Traviastria, AirPlus Kreditkarteninstitut, Wiener Borsag, SCA Schedule Coordination Austria, AX Air Container Service GmbH, Avicon Aviation Consult GmbH, Austrian Lufthansa Cargo GmbH, Austrian Airlines Telesales and AMP Service GmbH. Business trends. Austrian Airlines has recently been profitable. Until 2008, accounts were published in full in annual reports, but following the takeover by Lufthansa, the style and content of the published results changed. Only summary information is now made available, by way of press releases. Figures are: livery citing the colors of the national flag of Austria. Austrian Airlines color scheme has always been a pattern of red, white and red. The aeroplanes' bellies were silver from the 1950s to 80s. The upper part was white with the Austrian Airlines arrow and the text Austrian Airlines or Austrian. Austrian Airlines' slogan was "the friendly airline" at the time. As part of the 2015 rebranding, the blue belly and engine painting of the livery will be replaced by white and red. The Austrian Airlines arrow has seen several design modifications over the years. When invented in 1960, it was redolent of the shape of a paper aeroplane. The design became more formal in 1972. As part of a rebranding exercise in 1995, the chevron was placed on the red-white-red tail fin. In the new corporate design, in use since 2003, the old chevron shape was used again, this time in a more modern style and with a drop shadow placed underneath. Several special color schemes have been used throughout the decades. Since joining Star Alliance, a few aeroplanes have flown with Star Alliance markings. For the Mozart year in 2006, an Airbus A320 was decorated in a Mozart design, and an Airbus A340-300 was coated with an homage to the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. A Boeing 737-600 was given a glacier look for a to-roll advertisement. 3 designs were put on aeroplanes to mark Euro 2008. An Airbus A320 was given a retro livery on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the company. The current slogan of Austrian is "the charming way to fly." Destinations. Route development. In 2006, Austrian decided to retire its A330 and A340 fleet, which consisted of 4 Airbus A330-200, 2 Airbus A340-200 and 2 Airbus A340-300. These aircraft were sold to TAP Portugal, Swiss and the French Air Force. As a result of having less long-haul capacity, Austrian suspended some of its long-haul flights to East Asia. Flights to Shanghai, Phuket, Mauritius, Colombo, Mali and Kathmandu ended in 2007. Both Australia routes, Melbourne via Singapore and Sydney via Kuala Lumpur, were terminated in March 2007, ending operations on the Kangaroo route. Austrian was the last European-based airline offering direct flights from Melbourne to Europe, initially using the Lauda brand. and then Austrian Airlines aircraft. Austrian was one of the few airlines to fly into post-war Iraq when it began flights to Erbil in December 2006. New flights to Mumbai began on November 2010 and Austrian resumed flights to Baghdad on 8 June 2011. On January 13, 2013, Austrian Airlines suspended flights to Tehran due to a lack of demand. Austrian Airlines resumed flights to Chicago on May 17, 2013 and launched Newark in 2014. Austrian Airlines start services to Mauritius with the beginning of the Winter Flight Plan 2015. The noted expansion of the intercontinental network seems to indicate improving results for Austrian, with Lufthansa placing its confidence in the airline. Starting in October 2015, Austrian Airlines will begin services to Mauritius and Miami. Codeshare agreements. As of February 2015, Austrian Airlines has codeshare agreements with the following airlines. Fleet. Current fleet as of 30 June 2016. The Austrian Airlines fleet consists of the following aircraft. Note: Business and Economy on the A319, A320, A321 and E195 can vary depending on demand. Fleet history over the years. Austrian Airlines operated the following aircraft types. Service. Austrian operates several lounges at the hub in Vienna. There are 3 business, 2 senator and 2 Hon-Circle lounges available. Furthermore, a business lounge at Domodedovo International Airport in Moscow is operated by Austrian Airlines. Since 2007, Do and AMPCO handles the catering of Austrian Airlines. On long-haul flights, business class meals are prepared by a chef on board. Since 2011, all Austrian planes of the Airbus A320 family are equipped with new seats and a new cabin design. By September 2013, Austrian's entire long-haul fleet also got new seats and a new cabin design. It contains full flatbeds with a pneumatic system and aisle access from nearly every seat in business class, and new seats with video on demand for every passenger in economy class. Incidents and accidents. The following is a list of incidents and accidents involving Austrian Airlines mainline aircraft. It excludes occurrences with subsidiaries, such as Tyrolean Airways or Austrian Air Services. On the 26th of September 1960 at 21:40 local time, an Austrian Airlines Vickers Viscount crashed during approach of Sheremetyevo International Airport, killing 26 of the 31 passengers on board, as well as 5 of the 6 crew members. The aircraft had been operating Flight 901 from Vienna to Moscow with an intermediate stop at Warsaw. As a probable cause for this to date only fatal accident for the airline, a malfunction in an altimeter was given. On the 21st of February 1970, a bomb explosion occurred in the cargo hold of an Austrian Airlines Sud Aviation Caravelle during a flight from Frankfurt to Vienna with 33 passengers and 5 crew on board, creating a hole in the fuselage. The pilots managed to return the aircraft safely to Frankfurt Airport. On the same day, another bomb had been planted on Swiss Air Flight 330, causing it to crash, killing 47 people. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine claimed the responsibility for both assaults. On the 7th of January 1997, Austrian Airlines Flight 104 from Berlin to Vienna was hijacked by a Bosnian male who had forced his way into the cockpit armed with a knife. The pilots obeyed the perpetrator's demands to return to Berlin, so that he could negotiate with the local authorities over the renewal of his visa. Back at Berlin Tegel Airport, the McDonnell Douglas MD-87 was stormed by special police forces, and the hijacker was overpowered. On the 5th of January 2004 at 8:17 local local time, an Austrian Airlines Fokker 70 crash-landed on a snow-covered field near Munich International Airport. The aircraft had been operating Flight 111 from Vienna to Munich with 28 passengers and 4 crew on board, when its engines failed during landing descent due to icing. The aircraft was severely damaged, however only 3 passengers suffered minor injuries.